This video is sponsored by Squarespace, and today I'm going to be trying to fix a broken Xbox One X that I bought off of eBay for $75. So first I need to get it unboxed. There we go, now I can plug it in and see what exactly is wrong. So taking a look at it real quick, it's got a bunch of tape on it, and it looks like this back piece is taped on. It's definitely been taken apart before, so that's not great news. But I'm gonna get plugged in and see what it does. Okay, so far it does turn on. Let's get the HDMI plugged in. Alrighty then. So far it's working just fine. So another console that at least so far works just fine. I'm gonna get it all updated, then I'll see if everything else works normally. All the updates went fine, so now let's put a disc in and see if it'll play. Yep, it's reading the disc just fine. And you can see the disc right up here on the screen. I still need to take the tape off of the console and test a few other things. So unfortunately, this one was kind of a boring fix since there wasn't actually anything wrong. Luckily, I've got another one, and it's even better because it's an Xbox One X Gears of War edition. Let's see if I can fix it. Already some bad news on this one. That piece, you can see that edge is broken right there. The seller obviously didn't pack this one very well. Pretty common with eBay stuff. I'm gonna get the rest of it out and see if anything else is broken. And here we go. Luckily, even though this is broken, it actually doesn't look that weird since it's got all of these graphics on here. Actually, more than graphics, that's an actual groove in the case. And same thing on the top side. It's got all these grooves here, and then it's got this skull under, it looks like a skull almost under ice or something. Very cool special edition. I bought this so long ago that I have no idea what's wrong with it. I don't remember what the seller said was wrong, so I'm gonna get this plugged in and see what this one does. Now before I get to testing this one, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build whatever website you need, no matter what you do. And when I say all-in-one, I mean everything is included in your Squarespace website. Whether you have a store and you need to keep track of your products and do shipping and offer customers checkout, or if you just have a personal website like a woodworking website and you just want to showcase what you do, Squarespace is a great option. You can even buy your domain right through Squarespace, and the great thing is there's no hidden fees or price hikes. Squarespace websites are also optimized for mobile viewing, so no matter what device you're on, whether you have a laptop or your phone or whatever you're using, your Squarespace website will always look great. Now, I'm no web designer and I don't know how to code. I'm just a guy who likes to fix stuff, but Squarespace is even easy enough for a guy like me. So no matter what you do or what kind of website you need, go to squarespace.com to learn how to make your website quick and easy. Now let's see if this Xbox One X will turn on. And no, just nothing at all. I can tell it's not even pressing on a button when I press this, and also the case isn't pushed all the way back, so I need to take this top case off, then we can test it and see if it'll turn on. And still no power. Also, I see this ribbon cable has been torn off. Under this little clip right here, there's a connector that goes onto the motherboard, and this ribbon cable is for this front button right here. And along with that, we do have some missing screws. So this one's gonna be interesting to see what we get into. Okay, now I got the screws out that hold this thing on. It is missing a screw over the APU clamp, and this screw isn't even all the way tight. It's a little worrisome. So let's see if there's any damage under this to the connector. Okay, great news. No damage on this connector. I have replaced these before and they are replaceable, but it does take a little while to do, so it's nice to know I don't have to worry about that. All right, now we can remove this top cover. And I see no obvious problems. So now I'm gonna remove the fan, power supply, and disk drive, and then see what we have on the motherboard. Okay, and after looking at this motherboard, I don't think it's all been taken apart like this before, so that's good news. I don't see any major problems on the motherboard. So the first things I suspect are possible hard drive, unlikely. This chip right here, the HDMI redriver chip, that is pretty likely to be the problem. Also, this front little board right here with the power button on it, that could also be the problem. So I'm gonna test this first. I'm also gonna test with the different power supply. And then if all of those still don't get it to work, then I'm gonna suspect this chip right here. And now I have a known good front board, a known good hard drive, and a known good power supply. Now let's see if this thing's gonna turn on. Oh. Okay. I thought this was a good hard drive, but it is definitely not. I'm gonna put the original hard drive back in. Okay, now the original hard drive is back in. Let's try to power it on again. Okay, and we have power. I'm not gonna leave it running very long because we don't have a heatsink on this thing and that chip will get pretty hot pretty fast. So what does this tell me? This tells me that likely either this connection was loose or this connection was loose, and that probably caused the no power problem. I'm gonna put this together enough so it can power all the way on, and then let's see if we have any problems then. And I need to install the perfect amount of thermal paste, obviously. There we go. Now I have all the original parts back in this. Let's see if it'll turn on now. Here we go. Okay, the power button is on, the fan is on. Let's see if it stays on. Okay, good news so far. I'm gonna plug it into the HDMI and let's see what we get on the TV. And we have a no signal issue on this Xbox One X. This is most likely a redriver problem, and the redriver can actually cause a problem where the console won't turn on. So I'm guessing with just me messing with all the parts and the motherboard, maybe just somehow made that redriver work to turn it on, but it's still not working for putting a picture on the screen. So I'm gonna replace that next, and then we'll see if that will give us picture on the screen. So now we have this redriver replaced. You saw at the end how I went through with my soldering iron and just touched up all these joints to make sure they all made good connection with the chip. So now this chip is installed. Let's put it all back together, turn it on, and see if we get a picture. All right, and now let's see if we get a picture. Yes, good news so far. We do have it working. Now we've got an E106. So now I gotta figure out what's going on with the E106. I'm gonna try to install a hard drive update and see if that'll fix it. Many times with E106, that alone will fix it. Sometimes you have to replace the hard drive, but even sometimes just restarting it will help. I already tried that, so let's try this update. So in order to replace this front USB port, I'm gonna be using a part from a junk console that I have laying around. These just have 2 screws on the bottom, and then you can pull them up just like that. So now I just need to remove this one. Okay, so that's been replaced. Now the next thing we need to do is fix stuff like this. These little tabs should look like these ones over here. If they're like this, it's just not gonna slide back into the case how it should. And most of the time, these you can just bend back up. Okay, those ones look pretty good. And after all that updating, it still won't fully start up. I get the error E100, so now it's time to put in a new hard drive and then see if that'll fix that problem. And new hard drive is installed. So even with a hard drive that I know is 100% good, I'm still getting the E100 error. So Unfortunately, the hard drive is not the problem on this Xbox One X. E100 is sort of like a generalized error code, and it could be other things other than just the hard drive. It could be, for example, the Blu-ray disc drive, and that's a pretty common cause of E100. The first thing I'm gonna do is try and replace the cable. These often go bad on the hard drive, and these can also go bad on the Blu-ray disc drive, so I'm gonna try that first. All right, so the new cable's in. I also have verified that this optical disc drive is working. I can put a disc in, it spins up, it reads it. So there's no actual faults with the drive itself that I know of. If there was, then I would definitely replace that. Okay, and we still have the E100. This error ends in 10008. So unfortunately, the cable didn't fix the problem. So next, I'm gonna try replacing the optical disc drive, and I'll show you how I'm gonna do it. So here are the two disc drives. This is the original. This is the replacement. Now the thing you have to remember with these disc drives is you can't just swap these disc drives one for another right into an Xbox. These are married to the motherboard on the Xbox by this chip right here. So if I'm gonna put this disk drive into the Xbox One X that I'm working on, I also need to have this chip. So what I'm gonna do is swap this chip with this one. So I'll remove this chip, then I'll take this chip and put it on this board. Once that chip is on this board, then the motherboard on the Xbox One X I'm working on will recognize this chip and this disk drive. So I'm really hoping this works. This is sort of like a last ditch effort, and there's no way for me to know for sure if it's gonna work or not. I kind of don't think it will, but it's definitely worth a try. Okay, now this chip has been soldered on. I checked it under the microscope. All the joints look good. So now I'm gonna clean it up, get it installed back into the optical drive. Then we'll get it installed into the Xbox One X, and hopefully it'll work. All right, it's all hooked up. I really hope this one works now. We've done a ton of work on this, but unfortunately there's just no guarantee that that fix will work. It is possible that the firmware on the chip itself is corrupted or something like that, and there's just no way to fix that. So if this doesn't work now, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to call this Xbox One X not fixable, but let's turn it on and see if it happens to work now. And we're still getting the E100 error. So unfortunately, this Xbox One X is not gonna be fixable. I really wish it was. This took a lot of time to try and fix, but unfortunately, they're just not all fixable. Luckily, there is some good news. If you go to squarespace.com/TronicsFix, you can get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. So if you're looking to build your website easy and fast, go to squarespace.com/TronicsFix. Thank you so much for watching, even when I can't fix them, and I hope you have a good one.